No, that's not a good place for you, cat. Go upstairs.
Cupcake, come on.
My head isn't your landing pad.
Get. Come on, Cupcake.
Go on, Cupcake. Go see Mommy.
Come on. I know, they're all sitting right at the door. Because they're like, where does she get to go? She's a fucking ninja. That's why she gets to go downstairs. She's faster than the speed of light.
Anyway, good day, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Albino Rhino Beer Review. Today you have the Rhino, and we're looking at a beer from Torque. So Torque Brewing. This is their Redline Red IPA. It is a 473 milliliter can. It says it's a strong beer. It is 6.5% alcohol by volume. Appearance, deep amber. Aroma, citrusy, hoppy. Taste, malty, and balanced. So I've actually been to Torque. When we first started with the Northwest Company, before we flew up to the Arctic, we spent a month in Winnipeg, and Torque was one of the breweries that was actually fairly close to our hotel. There was actually several breweries that were close to our hotel. A few of them were just a little further than walking distance, and a few of them were what some people wouldn't consider walking distance, but at that time I walked everywhere, so it was within walking distance for me and my wife. And there were some places that were very close to the hotel, and this was one of the ones that was very close. I had stopped in at Torque several times. I had never had this beer, however, while I was at Torque. And this was, if I remember correctly, it was one of their mainline beers. There is a few beer tubers that are in the Winnipeg area who may know or remember whether or not it is. One of them actually helped me because I kept talking about Trans-Canada Brewing Company, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't mind Trans-Canada, but it wasn't great. The food was, and he's like, no, I think you're mixing that one up with this brewery. And he was right. There was another brewery that was like highway-esque written. Its name had something to do with the highway and stuff like that, and it was near Polo Park. And it was the one I kept thinking of, but for some reason I kept thinking of Trans-Canada. And Trans-Canada actually does some really good beers, but this one was a brew pub, and we went in and I actually filmed a flight while eating and everything, and the food wasn't great, the beer wasn't great. I can't even remember which brewery it was now. But yeah, this one's Torque. And again, this was very close to the brewery. This was like a 5-10 minute walk. It's probably slightly longer walk than what it takes for me to get from here to the Melting National. Not that any of you care. I'm just talking anyway. This Amber IPA takes it to the limits in the flavor race. I doubt that. Malty, hoppy, and exhilarating. Doubt that too. It took the checkered flag in 2018 and goes full throttle to this day. So it would have been 2019 when we were in Winnipeg. So, yeah. So the color is right. That is a beautiful amber. Almost a ruby red. Beautiful mocha head. Nice snap, crackle, pop. Very good looking beer. If you were to ask me, I would say that is a very, very good looking beer. And I wouldn't be lying to you. To me, that's a very, very good looking beer. Let's get some more in there. We'll put it over there. We'll sniff it from the can first, and then the can will go up where this was our last review. It shouldn't be in the shot. Shouldn't be in the shot. Is it now gone from the shot? Yes, it should be out of shot now. There's like almost like a coppery note. Coppery, malty, caramel, and a tiny touch of citrus. There is still more in the can, but we'll just put the can up there. I don't know, is the can in shot okay? Or do I need to find something to prop this? Sadly, this tripod doesn't have an angular head at all. I need to get a head with a ball so that I can give it a little bit of an angle, and you can see up into my into my ghetto window that has an old sheet as the blind, and where I need to get actual good curtains. But I made this beautiful wall, and then I did that for my curtain. It just, yeah, scent from the glass. Pretty much the same. It's coppery, it's caramelly, and a little citrusy. All right, cheers. And it does kind of remind me of an American Red, which is sort of what I was thinking I would get out of this. Not something that I'm like, oh my god, this is horrible, but not really what I'm looking for either, right? It has some caramel notes. It has some bready notes. It has a little bit of citrusiness, but it's like, it's dirty and piney on the back end and very bitter. If you are an IPA fan, like a big IPA fan, it may be too malty for you. If you're a big malt fan, it may be too hoppy for you. But it is a nice beer to try and bridge that gap. Is it bridging the gap for me myself? Not particularly, but could it bridge the gap for the right person? I think very much so. If you are somebody who isn't sure what you really like, but you kind of like the nice maltiness, you kind of like a really hoppy bitter beer, this is like straight down the middle, but the bitterness is more than what I like. I like a more citrusy, juicy bitterness. If you're going to give me the bitterness, I want it to be juicy. I want it to be citrusy. I want it to be fruity, or I want it to be very English-esque, so very dirty, very earthy. This does have that earthiness to it, but it also has just a plain Jane like bitterness and almost like a piney bitterness. And the piney and floral bitternesses are my two least favorite types of bitterness. That being said, is this a bad beer? No, it's not a bad beer. I don't think I would agree that this thing is a takes it to the limit in the flavor race. I don't think so. But I mean, if that's the type of flavors you enjoy, it may be taking it to the limit of the flavor race for you. Just not for me. I like the can. I love the visual appeal of the can. I love that we're talking about taking the checkered flag and everything else, and then we're playing with the Redline name. These guys are on King Street in Winnipeg. I do like a lot of what this is offering. However, I'm not a fan of the flavor. Even the visual appeal in the glass, I really like that visual appeal. This is what I like my beer looking like. I mean, we all have what we like. I like the darker beers. Maybe it's because I have no pigment, but I like the darker beers, the beers with a higher SRM. I know. My views prove that I'm overrated and nobody likes me. It's okay. It's okay. I'm okay with that. Oh, you're not gonna bring it up. You're right, I do bring it up because you know what? It's fun to be like, hey, I'm just a piece of shit. I don't know anything. Right. Right. Yeah, it's not something that I would seek. It's not. Now, is it so bad that I would never buy it again? Well, actually, let's put this first. Is it bad and I think it's full of faults, or I think it's gross, or any of those things? No. Is it a beer I could see myself buy again? That's where I'm weirded out, right? It was, I believe it was close to $6 a can. But that one, is $6 a can after the taxes and the deposit. Or usually when I give you a price, I give you the price before deposit and before taxes. If I remember correctly, this was close to a $6 can, which would... And here's the other thing, right? When you buy a pint at a brewery, you expect it to be, I don't know, close to the same price you pay for the can, because you're paying for somebody to can it, somebody to do everything with it, all that type of stuff, and you're paying for the can and everything else. However, I've noticed a large discrepancy in the cost of a can of beer nowadays versus it at the brewery. If I go and buy a can of beer from, say, sorry, that sounded like it was my security camera, but it wasn't. If I go to buy a can of beer from, say, Multinational, I'll probably pay $4 for the can. And the can is a pint. If I was to buy a pint at the brewery, I'm paying $8 for the pint, or $9 for the pint, depending on if it's a deluxe or a premium. So it's kind of weird to, and I get it, you're paying somebody to serve you. You're right, I'm paying you to serve me. However, the longer I'm there, I don't know, the business aspect of the brewing industry has evolved a lot in my time in the North, and I'm still trying to catch up to where it's at. And it's because I remember when you used to buy a can at the LCBO for like $3 or $4, or you'd buy your pint at the brewery for $4 to $6. So you were only paying $1 or $2 more. And I guess to an extent you're pretty close to we're digressing. That's the problem. This is why I need to find a partner, someone here in Regina to do these with me, because I digress way too much when I'm on my own. Plus, one of the reasons I digress so much is I'm just sitting here by myself, just talking, right? And my mind is just going a million miles a minute, and I'm like, hey, 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 hey. So I mean, somebody else balances you. Oh, excuse me. It's not a bad beer. I think there's a chance I'd buy it again, but not a great chance. So I'm going to give it a straight 7 out of 10. Because yeah, I could buy that again. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's not my particular cup of tea, but I could enjoy it on the right night. So yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Thank you guys. Bye-bye. Torque Redline.